Well, guys, Donald Trump is at it again. How many times did we hear him tell the MAGA base that he was going to be the no-conflicts president, that he was going to bring peace around the world, and that all of these other conflicts, well, they would have never happened if only Donald Trump were in office. But now you got Donald Trump himself dropping 30,000-pound bombs on Iran without any congressional approval at all, and he's seemingly just walking back all of these different promises that got himself elected for a second time. And now he's openly coming out and saying that he might be interested in regime change in Iran, even though this is something that he has been rallying against for the past decade. And because you got people in the MAGA cult who just get in line right behind Donald Trump and want to run these stories to make himself look better than he actually is, they're coming out and giving these post-hoc rationalizations to try to make it seem like it's just business as usual, baby. It's just America first. Donald Trump is still the peacetime president. He's not actually getting us into any further conflicts. Here's J.D. Vance, pretty much drawing a distinction without a difference. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Question, Mr. Vice President, is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program.
I mean, what does that even mean? Can you be at war with a nuclear program without intertwining yourself with the Iranian people? I mean, what about the scientists and the military members? Maybe you could say you're trying to target the Iranian regime, but it's still the Iranian people that make up that nuclear program, JD. And like I've said before, I don't think Iran having a nuclear warhead is a good idea, but the intelligence that we have today does not suggest that that is what they are trying to do. They had uranium enriched up to 60%, and it needs to be to 90 to 95% to actually make a nuclear warhead. And so for us to go out there and issue a preeminent strike on Iranian territory without an imminent threat involved, it really seems like you're escalating tensions in the region, even though that is something that you promised that you wouldn't do. Here's Caroline Leavitt saying that actually Donald Trump is creating peace through this strength.
And nobody knows what it means to accomplish peace through strength better than President Trump. He is the one who came up with that motto and that foreign policy doctrine, and he successfully implemented it in his first term.
How is it that these people always get away with doing this shit? Donald Trump did not invent peace through strength. Isn't this something that Reagan used to say quite often? And Caroline Leavitt wants to say, oh, well, Donald Trump created it. He's the one who implemented it. And that is what we're seeing here. You cannot say you are trying to bring peace when you just got done dropping 30,000-pound bombs on a land far, far away. And you did it in a surprise attack. That is not peaceful. And do you think that Iran is just going to sit on their hands and do nothing? Of course, they're going to be goaded into retaliating in some way, because that is how this whole game theory thing works. Now, we could get lucky, and Iran might say, well, shoot, we're already in conflict with Israel. Do we really want to get into conflict with America right now? Maybe we'll get lucky. But as at the time of this recording, they've already issued retaliation against a base in Qatar. I don't think there's been any casualties reported at this time, but we really just don't know how things are going to escalate. Maybe we'll get lucky, but maybe we won't. Here's Pat Harrington trying to say that Donald Trump is actually trying to bring the temperature down on the globally.
Be with you. Look, this is certainly a dynamic environment, right? We're trying to lower the temperature of global conflict while simultaneously kind of raising it here in order to lower it. And so I think the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is exactly right. It would be Iran's worst decision possible to this point. And they've made a lot of bad decisions up till this juncture to come back and attack America or American troops. I genuinely hope that they don't do that, but we'll just have to wait and see here.
You know, this is just what is so frustrating about the MAGA movement. They are so arrogant. They think that we can just go out there and act reckless. We can go drop bombs on anybody that we want to, and then we just not going to get retaliated against at all. I mean, it is so arrogant. That is just not how the world works. And we cannot be the belligerent actors and expect that something is not going to be done back to us. And to think that Donald Trump is the one trying to lower the temperature globally is an insane thing to say after he just got done dropping bombs on a country over in the Middle East. And let's not forget, everybody, Donald Trump is the person who tore up the nuclear Iran deal that was being abided by. And now he is using them, building towards a nuclear weapon as a pretext to launch these preemptive strikes. So Donald Trump pretty much lit the match, and now he is pouring gasoline on the fire. But we're all supposed to just sit back and believe that he's trying to lower the temperature. He's trying to bring peace around the world. I mean, it's getting quite old at this point. Here's Mark Wayne Mullen saying that Trump is leading through strength.
President Trump is leading through strength. You can achieve peace through strength as long as you use it in the right way. We're not at war with Iran. What we are trying to do is make sure we can have peace. You cannot trust a regime that is a world sponsor of terror, who has been chanting for 40 years, death to America, who has killed over 1,000 American citizens or service members over the last 40 years, either through proxy or direct. And you cannot have peace if they achieve a nuclear weapon. You can have peace with them if they don't have a nuclear program. And so what President Trump has done here is he's made an opportunity for us maybe to be able to negotiate peace with them if the regime chooses so. But I can't express this enough, Andrew. We are not at war with the Iranian people.
So we're supposed to believe that Donald Trump is trying to bring peace throughout the world, as you got a side-by-side with Mark Wayne Mullen of whole facilities just being blown to smithereens. We're supposed to believe that Donald Trump is acting peaceful here? Again, we can all agree that Iran having a nuclear warhead is probably not in the better interest of most of us in the world, but Donald Trump is the one who tore up the agreement that they were abiding by to make sure that they weren't barreling towards a nuclear warhead. And now it's just so damn frustrating. If he would have left that agreement in place, if he wasn't such a petulant man baby who didn't want Obama's name on any achievement, then we may have not been in this problem, we may have not had this problem in the first place. Maybe Iran would have stuck to the deal. Maybe the third-party investigators would have continued to carry out their jobs and make sure that they weren't enriching uranium past the 3 to 5% that you need for civil projects. But because Donald Trump ripped that up and destroyed America's credibility, what did we expect was going to happen? What did we expect? It's just so damn frustrating. Here's Joni Ernst saying that this isn't a war. It's actually a threat against us, guys.
They do not want to see a war. This is not a war. This was a strike on a threat to the United States of America. I would say as well, this is retribution, Harris, for the thousands of American lives that have been taken by Iran through direct strikes from Iran, as well as their terrorist proxies. And I was saying last week as well, we lost 43 Americans on October 7th. Not a peep out of the Biden administration. 8 Americans were held hostage by Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and yet President Biden chose not to do a darn thing about it.
Well, I knew it was coming. It was only a matter of time, right? You got to blame Biden. Blame the Biden administration. For some reason, it's their fault that now Donald Trump has to go strike Iran in hopes of destroying their nuclear facilities, even though we know that they aren't actually building a nuclear warhead at this time. Blame Biden, everybody. Blame Biden. These people are absolutely pathetic. Yes, is Iran a sponsor of terrorist activity across the globe? Yes. Should that be quelled? Absolutely. But to demonize Biden and the Democrats as though we are rooting for Iran or we are somehow rooting for Hezbollah or Hamas and carrying out these horrific attacks, it is absolutely disgusting. We are not... To think that Biden chose to do nothing at all is an insane thing to say. But you've got Trump now carrying out a preemptive strike against Iran with no new intelligence to suggest that they were any closer to have a nuclear bomb. And these people want you to believe that Donald Trump is the one who is yearning for peace. It is Donald Trump who is being diplomatic, and he's going to bring peace throughout the world. These claims just hold no water when you are the one doing the preemptive strikes on Iran. It makes no sense. And to finish it up, here's J.D. Vance saying that we don't want war. We want peace with Iran, maybe.
What we've said to the Iranians is we do not want war with Iran. We actually want peace. But we want peace in the context of them not having a nuclear weapons program. And that's exactly what the president accomplished last night. I really think there are two big questions for the Iranians here. Are they going to attack American troops, or are they going to continue with their nuclear weapons program? And if they leave American troops out of it and they decide to give up their nuclear weapons program once and for all, then I think the president has been very clear. We can have a good relationship with the Iranians. We can have a peaceful situation in that region of the world.
Like I said, we might get lucky. Maybe Iran will take a step back, say, we don't need this fight at this particular time. We might get lucky, or we might not. Donald Trump could have very well sparked a fire under their ass to start developing enriched uranium at that 90 or 95% at a much quicker timeline. We know that some of the uranium in the mountains that were hit, the targets that were hit, may have been moved beforehand. We don't necessarily know that 100% right now. And we also know that the bombs that the Trump administration dropped on these nuclear facilities, although they did do much damage, it doesn't appear that they are a total loss. So it's very possible that they could rebuild these facilities and continue to enrich uranium, get new centrifuges down there, and do whatever they need to do to continue with their nuclear program. This seems like a very, very high-risk strike for not a whole lot of guarantee, right? Why didn't we pursue diplomatic relations? Why wasn't the Trump administration trying to re-enter into the JCPOA, that Iran nuclear deal that was signed by the Obama administration? Because we knew that was working. Doesn't that seem like a more peaceful solution when it comes to Iran? And I will say it again. Iran having a nuclear warhead doesn't seem like it would be a great idea. And I think it is possible that we carry out diplomatic talks or, come into some other agreement with Iran. But it's going to be much, much harder now that Donald Trump has decided to drop 30,000-pound bombs on some of their facilities in a surprise attack. It seems very counterintuitive to the goal that they are trying to reach. So we're going to have to see how things play out. But what we are seeing now is Donald Trump is walking back on all of these different promises that he made to get himself elected for a second time. He is escalating tensions in that region. I really don't know why he wouldn't just give those bunker busters to Israel and let them carry out the strikes. That seems like it would have been a more reasonable way to do this, in my estimation. But like I said, I am not a foreign policy expert. There may be good reasons as to why we didn't do that. But it seems to me that if we did it that way, at least the United States itself wasn't being dragged further and further into the conflict in the Middle East, which is something that Donald Trump explicitly said that he wasn't going to do. So, like I said, we're going to have to see how things play out. I think this was a very, very high-risk strike carried out for very little in return. Like I said, we do not know the extent of the damage. It looks like they might be able to rebuild. We don't know if they were able to move some of their uranium before the strikes occurred. And so we're really going to have to see. We already know that Iran did carry out some retaliation at a base in Qatar. I think there was no casualties up to this point at the time of this recording, but it's very possible that they could continue their retaliation against the troops in the region, which we've got a ton of them. I think we've got up to 40,000 troops in the region that, Iran could potentially target. And so I really hope that there is some sort of game plan to bring the tensions back down after the president of the United States, in a unilateral way, decided to drop 30,000-pound bombs back into the Middle East. We'll have to see how it goes. But I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just launders all of this nonsense for Donald Trump day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please remember to smash that subscribe button. Of course, that is free. And if you guys want to kind of get a rundown of how these strikes occurred, who was notified and who wasn't notified, and kind of how all this kind of came together for Donald Trump to strike Iran, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.